Good morning, everybody. I apologize for being late this morning. We had technical difficulties here in the South Central Plains and just getting everything up and running right now. And we have an interesting day coming. The stock markets around the globe are up, especially in Japan, by a lot. And it started yesterday afternoon when the Nikkei put a couple of articles out about how weak the Japanese economy was. China's growth numbers came in a little bit stronger than forecast this morning, but there's a lot of talk about how the Chinese central bank can't tighten anymore. Europe regularly says we're prepared to pump more money into the support of our economies because they need to be supported. And everybody hopes today that Janet Yellen will, or expects that Janet Yellen will reiterate her dovish stance. She starts talking at the in New York City at 12:25 Eastern today. So we're back to central bank easing as the impetus behind the stock market buying. Now, like it or not, that's the way it is. It's the way it's been since August of last year. Anytime we get a string of weak economic news announcements, then the talk for further Fed easing comes in, stock market rallies. We've had a couple of days of selling in the stock market. We've retested the low. Yesterday we snapped back from the lows that were coming late yesterday, rallied, market reverse, closed strong, even higher overnight. So the stock market has rallied a lot in anticipation of what Yellen's going to say today. Now, if Yellen comes out and she's a bit hawkish, or she doesn't say the right things, the stock market could sell, and that would support our financials. So we're in a situation right now where we're in a trading range. We've got a little news to absorb, but the focus of the market will be on Janet Yellen. Starts came in and permits came in a little bit lower than forecast. It can impact the market. It is supportive for the financials, a little less so for the S&P, but the real focus today is industrial production, which is called up a half, and it could be greater than a half because of last month's automobile sales. Capacity utilization, nobody will pay any attention to. When it is paid attention to, it's when the Fed is fighting inflation, and it's called at 78.8. The Fed is not fighting inflation right now. They're trying to create inflation, and they're very, very successful in food and energy, but not so in real estate, which is where they want it. And then we have Yellen's speech. So whatever Yellen says is going to trump anything that comes before it. So the next piece of news is industrial production, and watch out, it could be higher than forecast. We left yesterday's market wanting to buy into weakness. We had 13 to 17 if the E-mini didn't rally, and then 5 to 9, and the overnight session low is 11. I mean, so far the session's low is 11. It was 12.5 in front of that, so we could have bought at the low end of our range. We're currently at 14.5. Not much of a trade. So we've got support. Think we might be able to buy it a little bit better. 9 to 13 based on industrial production. And then 5 to 1. Okay, Yellen's support for the markets, dovish statements that are expected will support financials too, but not like the stock market. On the sell side, we left the market yesterday wanting to sell failure to take out 24 to 28. The overnight session high was 20. You had plenty of time to put a trade on at 19. To as high as 17.5, and the market has traded down since then. So right now we're at 14.5. Last rotate up stopped at 16. So 16 to 20 is sell 1. Sell 2 is 23 to 27. One of the things that we have to continuously fight is, the logic, fundamental. We like a story, but again, zero hedge is probably the most negative site you'll find out there. If you want a negative take on any piece of news, you'll find it on zero hedge. But if you would trade it off the tone of their articles and their commentary and the rest of it, you'd have been short since March of 2009, and you would have missed one hell of a run-up. And we can't forget that. We have to, like it or not, as uncomfortable as it might be, and as much as you would like to have a different set of news and trading circumstances facing you, that's the way it is, and you have to adjust. And that's the beauty about the profile. Don't really have to know who, don't have to know why, can just see that they are. Okay, buy one, 9 to 13. Buy two, 1 to 5. On the 30-year. On the sell side, London's last rotate up was 22. We're at 16 right now. Very, very aggressive. 19 to 23, sell 1. 27.31, sell 2. Fitz, are you comfortable that the UK's economy is growing as fast, and is turning the corner based on what you see? I mean, we get it on a headline basis. There's nothing like being on the ground, though. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can anybody hear? Okay. Fitz, I always love this. Fitz, tighten your string. Don and Anthony, thank you this morning for your comments. It's nice to know that I do have backup. It's nice to know that I could be replaced. I've trained my replacements very well. Nice calls. Okay, gold is off a little bit. We left yesterday wanting to sell the 7 to 10 area. 5 to 7 area. And then basically 10 to 13. Resistance held. The market was at 13 when I looked a few moments ago. We had on the buy side on gold yesterday 1,300 plus or minus in 95, 97, and the low was 93. So you had a couple, 3 hours to get in at our number 2 level. Well, I appreciate and thank you, Jeff, for that. But you guys are out there chipping away and doing pretty damn good. So I think if I get in a pinch or something like that, I could be supported anyway. Maybe not 100% replaced, but that's nice to know from my standpoint. You want to train and groom your replacement in this world. Okay, the last rotate down stopped at 99, so we got we'll make it 97 to 1300 for buy one. This low down here at 89 to 90. I think if we come back down and we bust the 97 level, we're going to retest the overnight high. So we'll make 90 to 92 for buy two. Give ourselves a little room. On the sell side, we're back to our 5 to 7, where we were last night, and 10 to 13. Okay, there were pictures of tanks with no insignia soldiers on them in one Russian city overnight. So this, it's really, Putin has achieved most of what he would like to get pretty cheaply. But these guys get to believe in themselves, and they always overstretch. And so here we have unmarked people that have been behind the takeover of the Ukraine's government buildings now driving tanks around with Russian flags on them. So the news is doing their best to keep the situation muddled. They say, well, perhaps they're Russian Ukrainians that are armed to the teeth that have stolen Ukrainian tanks and put Russian flags on them. Okay. That's kind of, these people are really reaching far to keep the narrative going. If I were in Russia's shoes and having participated and then followed a lot of guerrilla-based war for a long time, it takes 10 men on the ground for every one for real guerrilla. That's a lot. Russia doesn't have that kind of military. So if you're in Russia's shoes, do you want to step out and directly annex that thing? You can make a case for yes because of the potential damage to pipelines. You need to control that. That's your foreign currency exchange mechanism. That's your economy right there. But when you start thinking about how that's done, and you have people that are willing to get shot and die in Ukraine right now, and they do have generational memory of what it was like to live under the Soviet Union, you might bite off a little more than you want to chew. Got to be careful. Okay, 40 to 50 is sell one. And then our 65 to 75 is sell two. Japan's stock market is up a bunch. That means that the euro-yen spread has moved solidly in favor of the euro. That's probably the bulk of the strength in this market. There's also calls for central bank easing in the EU, which would not be good for this currency, and that's probably the breaker. Okay, 15. Last rotate down in London was 17, so 15 to 25 will be buy one. And 38 even, 38 even plus or minus 5 will be buy two. Britain's economic performance is better than the continent's, and I think that probably leads to Britain liking being able to sell into the continent but not actually having to be there, although that drives the bureaucrats and the entrenched politicians in London bat, I would imagine. Crude, looking for a build of 2.4 million barrels. Last week's build was 4 million barrels. Won't have any play on what's going on today. Articles, news out of Ukraine. Any hint of war, any pictures of tanks with Russian flags on them, the rest of it will rally this market. And we left yesterday's market. Just don't want to get short overnight and walk away and leave the screens. You can be short, but it's not on a position trade type basis unless you can deliver in. So those that produce and can deliver in, take advantage of these higher prices. It's not a problem for them. But for those that are pure specs, you don't have any way to deliver in. And one article out of Ukraine can really, really, really hurt. So the spec side of the market's not here. Okay, the breakout was from 425, so like it or not, 425, 450 is buy one. It's aggressive. Would like to do it against 104. And then 375, 104 even will be buy two. Your success in trading this contract will be based on the news articles out of Ukraine. And that news is delayed. Doesn't get to us as fast as it gets to the people on the ground or to the major traders that have people on the ground in all these spots. I can bet your bottom dollar that if Goldman's boys aren't on the ground over there, Mark Ricks, the recently deceased Mark Rich's guys, are on the ground. Okay, to the ES. The ES came roaring back yesterday. The reason it came roaring back was anticipation of Janet Yellen being dovish. Wanted to come back and just show you briefly that we did get that yesterday. We thought we could trade below 1810, and then we had a 10 to 12 buy when we started out early in the morning. We thought that would be a pretty good place to engage the market. And they touched it in I period yesterday, and then the market just reversed on a dime and came roaring back. So this is the reversal. You can see that this M period low, the preceding day, rocketed the market up. We get a little higher in I period, and the market rockets up and closes at 39. We make new highs in the close, and it holds. Looking at today's action, we're at 1850, one of those round numbers, and it doesn't really matter what the news is this morning. We have industrial production right now, and it could be greater than 0.5%. Larry will put that up, I hope. Then we have Yellen. So weakness in the Japanese economy, further easing in China. Draghi's come out and said we'll do anything it takes to support the market. The UK's policies are in place, and Yellen today is supposed to be pretty dovish in her remarks. So resistance is 49 to 50. That's sell one. There's no magic behind that. That's just where it is. 55 to 57 is sell two. While Yellen is expected to be dovish, and the rest of this market has come a hell of a long way. So this market has rallied into what Yellen is supposed to say, or they feel like she should say. Now she's got to say it. If she doesn't say it, the bottom can fall out of the market. Okay, so industrial production came in at 0.7. We thought it might be higher than forecast due to the auto. That's negative for financials, positive for the indexes, but we have come a long way. And capacity utilization, nobody cares, but I would imagine it'll be 78.8 or maybe even higher. So again, everything is pointed to higher. Buying dips is a better strategy than selling into rally, but we are at resistance, and you can take a shot at the short side with your setups. On the buy side, last rotate down stopped in the 43.45, so 44.45 buy one. And then 41.39 for buy two. And it'll be down to what Yellen says. So capacity utilization did come in higher at 79.2. The automobile sector is important. It has been running on all cylinders for a long time. It is supported by government policy. And cheap loans, no background check type loans, and that's where we are. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. We'll get down to trading. It'll take me at least 20 minutes to get everything up and posted and around. Apologize for being late this morning, but sometimes that stuff happens later.